Good afternoon. I'm Julian, Betty's grandson. It's kind of amazing. This life. This is from Derek Koken. Margarita and I came to know Betty when she took over the Anglo-German discussion group in Berlin in 1948. We were all very drawn to this attractive, intelligent, young woman, and the German men were positively enchanted by the elegant being who had come from her faraway country to devastated Germany. In 1998, the few of us still in contact celebrated 50 years of our friendship, which started in the group. It made Betty very happy to hear about it. Since those post-war days in Berlin, we have met Betty but a few times in all those years, and yet have remained constantly in touch right up to the last letter, undoubtedly sent at her instigation last Christmas. The letter was, as all her messages, informative, hopeful, and above all, cheerful.
I'm Mr. Craig Hilkay, and I'm Bill Nute's niece. This comes from Robert H. Morris, Bob Morris. In the early 1970s, I knew Betty Nute at Morningside Heights Friends meeting in New York City, during the time that Irene's mother died and that Bill and Betty's acquaintance grew to a lifetime love. Truly, Betty was God's gift to Bill in the second half of his life. At one point, Betty and I served together on the committee of oversight for the meeting. Always, she was thoughtful and gracious, a pleasure to converse and work with. I'm Marion Craighill, Bill Nute's niece. This is from Ruth Niddle. I met Betty in the fall of 1968 after serving with the American Friends Service Committee in the Soviet Union and moving to New York City. Betty took me under her wing in my international interests, and she and Betty became my spiritual mentors, and in a sense, the parents I wish I had. Later, when I did more international traveling, Betty was never far from my mind. Betty lived her life in the manner I want to live mine. She will continue to inspire me with her caring and acts of kindness.
This one's from my father. When I think of Betty, I feel admiration and warmth, and a joy and a strength and celebration of her life. And tell your dad, this is my dad speaking to my mom, tell your dad, Reverend Bill, it speaks so well of him. His intellect, his ethics, his charm, his good works, and goodness, that Betty chose him as a husband.
Bill's sister, the baby. The letter is from Stephen Rimmer. Steve. I am also responding on behalf of my mother, Joy Rimmer, who does not do emails. Betty, or Rich, as she was always known to us, met my mother during the war in the Red Cross. They remained in touch when Rich emigrated. Then, in 1948, I was born, and Rich became my godmother. I remember I received the most inventive and interesting Christmas and birthday presents from the U.S. On the occasions she came to the UK, she and Joy would meet and chat over the old times. And frequently, I would be able to see her as well, albeit briefly. Years passed, and then she met Bill, your father. We met a couple of times, once in London, where we had a medieval dinner, complete with minstrels, in Shepherd's Market. Then here in Norfolk, when they were staying with friends near Huntingdon. Always interesting and always fun. I recall from a very early age her very infectious laugh. Joy remembers a good friend. I remember a thoughtful and interesting grandmother.
I'm Lloyd Craighill. My brother commented on which is Bill's brother-in-law, and my brother commented on a cruise that a number of us took in the off the Greek islands, and Bill and Betty were having to get from one of the boats to a pierhead in a dinghy, and Bill had brought the dinghy alongside the pier, and he was holding it for Betty to get out. Betty had slipped and gone over the side. She was in the water. A number of us were ready to help. Bill says, let her save herself, which she proceeded to do. She pulled herself up over the stern transom and back into the dinghy, and the second try got up on the pierhead, and Bill was pleased, Betty was pleased, the rest of us were encouraged to mind our own business, and that was Bill.